Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of That Gunners Talk. And to be honest, feeling coming into this match review, coming in feeling absolutely over the moon as two players have stepped up for me. And a lot of players have stepped up, but two in particular for me, in Ethan Nwaneri and Mikel Merino, as Arsenal have taken a 2-0 victory at Leicester Stadium now to come back and ultimately keep the title hopes alive. That's now 4 points behind Liverpool. Liverpool have to play tomorrow against Wolves, but nonetheless, 4 points behind the league leaders. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Gunner Street and Cape House Pause if you like anything Arsenal related, as we have all Arsenal content coming to you every single week. But first of all, KP, tell me how you're feeling after that victory and just give me your overall thoughts about the performance.
I'm buzzing, man. I'm buzzing, man. We needed a win, man. Like, obviously, getting goals late in the game is always gonna feel good because you're on the edge,
Of
watching the
course.
game. And obviously, given the situation that we have with no strikers, none of our fit attackers or our starting attackers fit, and obviously even our backup striker obviously also injured. So we knew we're up against the Wolves. Leicester were defending well within that game, and we know any drop points from here, it just makes the league bleak. Even if we aren't, favourites now, or even likely to,
Yeah.
get that feat. But all in all, like the performance, especially the performance from Ethan today, the way he every time he got the ball just was just making things happen, just showed a level of quality, a level of invention, and a level of like calmness, like a level of just trying to make things happen. And obviously, unluckily with his shot that hit the post, it was lovely to see his cross come in and obviously get the goal. And Mikel Merino coming on, obviously for Sterling, which I'm pretty sure we'll get into later on in this pod.
Yeah.
Obviously, that unconventional number 9 centre mid, height in there. And if there was any way that he was going to score, would have or the first goal would have definitely been from a header because he's quite good in the air. And obviously, it was
Yeah.
nice that we were able to use the players' strengths. But we needed that win, man. And it's nice to see that the players still are fighting in within the adversity that we're facing. And that was a difficult game, and we would have got a lot of scalping if we didn't get the 3 points. So
Yeah.
I'm buzzing, man. And as you said, 4 points is the gap now. Obviously, there's no more game in hand, which I like. Obviously, Everton getting that draw against Liverpool on in midweek, obviously, and the way that it happened has done a favor. I
Mhm.
should say. Obviously, we'll see what Wolves can do, and you never know in the Prem, man. The main thing about us is that we're just gonna get a few points, and I'm happy that we were able to secure those 3 points, man. At the end of the day, it was a quality performance, despite obviously Leicester, throwing a few punches. What do you think?
To be honest, I say the same thing. KP, to be honest, the way the game was going, we didn't have we had one shot on target all the way up until probably the Moreno goal. So it was a very very difficult performance. We're gonna talk about Sterling. We're gonna talk about other performers that had other games you could talk about. But I just want to talk about one here. I just want to follow up something you said. Every single time he had it, up and down, whether that be cutting inside or chopping on the outside, hitting the post twice. He hit the post twice in this game. He had created a good chance for Declan Rice, who kind of misread the ball and misread the flight. Thought James Justin was going to get to it. He had really good crosses in. The first 6 crosses of the game came down Nwaneri's side. It's not until we switched Trossard out onto the left that we saw another cross coming from the left hand side. Nwaneri every single time, and I think Odegaard's second half. I do want to touch on Odegaard's second half. He did continue to grow into the game. Declan Rice, who I thought ran his socks off again today, worked really, really well when Trossard was dropping deep and running in off behind as that player that likes to make those deep runs from midfield. I thought that was a great overall idea from Mikel Arteta. And that's really where I want to start for me, because people have been going into this Leicester game and this back half of the season after the transfer window. We haven't signed a striker, we haven't signed a wing player, and a lot of criticism has been given on to the manager, and that's the biggest criticism. People could say, oh, maybe people above him, people would say, oh, the manager didn't do this, and the manager signs this. If the manager doesn't win anything, sack him. But today just shows again for me why Mikel Arteta must stay at this football club, because throughout adversity, throughout everything that's been thrown at him, we're 15 games unbeaten in the Premier League still. And that's credit to not only losing your best players consistently throughout this season. You're losing all your forward line options. You have defenders missing games here and there. You have your signings that you barely got any signings, but the signings you did get missed time here and there. I give Mikel Arteta a lot of praise for today's performance. Not only did he have to trust youth players and trust players on the fringes, but also when he had to make changes, he brought on Jorginho, he brought on Calafiori for the change, he brought on Mikel Merino. He wasn't he was more proactive in his substitutions. A lot of people don't give him credit for that over the last couple of seasons. So I give Mikel a lot of praise for what he did today.
Yeah,
KP, back to you.
I do agree with you. Still, like Mikel, obviously, everyone in the club is against the back. The back is against the walls, especially Mikel being part of the board members, or at least the guys that make the decisions, and obviously being the on the front line. But I feel like, as you said, like you could see from his press conference yesterday, he was a bit bullish. He was a bit more, calm and confident, and obviously just taking of the situation. And I feel like it's a good example in life. I always say, like, obviously, people don't have to like the manager and don't have to like or believe in him, but you have to read into what someone says more than just thinking it's all about theatrics. And I feel like, as you see today, obviously, we knew probably what the starting lineup was going to be. We all probably predicted it and got it right, as we did.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't think the game was going particularly bad, but we just weren't creating any shooting actions or creating any quality actions, I should say. Obviously, we'll get to the reasons why. But I feel like, yeah, as you said, his proactiveness obviously has been questioned. And I feel like there has been times, in this season, prior seasons as well, where I feel like, players aren't having the best performances or things aren't going our way. He isn't changing things. And I feel like, yeah, in this game, you could see in that second half, he probably... And I do know he probably got into the players a lot and spoke a lot. The players were out early in the second half before we came out. Obviously, it was a bit more of a 50-50 game. It was a bit more of an open game, a bit more of a fiery game, which you saw we had a bit more transition moments, which kind of suited us. But obviously, we saw Sterling was really struggling in this game, obviously, to kind of do anything with any real quality. So from that moment, obviously it was a decision. Do you put Butler Deji on, or do you put Merino on? That was the only two options you're probably going to put into the attacking line. Obviously, he had to take Sterling off the pitch and put Trossard out at the left. Obviously, give him a bit more touches and a bit more influence. And Merino was a good option because, yeah, we lacked that physical presence in the box in terms of when the ball was going out wide. Obviously, it was only Declan Rice making the ability to get a target. But once Merino was there, you could see that he was picking up good positions. I think we talked about it when he signed. Anyways, he's a very, very quality player in aerial duels and in the air. Like, that's one of his strengths. Obviously, he scored a couple of headers for us now, and yeah, like obviously it's not a thing I want to see all the time. But in terms of like a plan B type of option, you always talk about that. That physical option that you put in there that's good in the box. You saw that what he done for his first goal, and obviously the second goal, you saw what he was able to do. With the movement to the back post, great ability from Trossard to pick him out. Something that we're starting to see game after game from Trossard. And obviously, as you're saying, like Partey started to kind of drift out of the game and show lapses of quality. He reacted there, putting Calafiori, and despite obviously him putting Jorginho, and despite him putting Calafiori for Lewis Kelly did have that moment where he made that goal line clearance. Which we want to touch on these two players, like they. Obviously, at the end of the day, like people can criticize the fact that Arsenal are relying on a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, show levels of quality and take ownership of the moment. But this is the way they play. Like, I've watched them through, when I scouted them, and you see they're playing the way that they played when they were young, or in the younger teams, and it's great to see, and it's a great credit to them that game after game after game they're showing a certain level of quality that even some of these senior players aren't showing consistently, which is a credit to both, the way they've been brought up, the way obviously they've been training Arsenal, and just what they're going to be like. They're a joy to watch. And I just saying, like, we need to get the 3 points. We're unbeaten in 15. The last game we played in the Premier League, despite obviously losing to Newcastle, was that 5-1 battering of Man City. So, it was 2 weeks ago, I should say. But end of the day, we just got to keep doing what we got to do. We've got West Ham next week, and it can be a game that we can pick up another 3 points. We know that Liverpool are going into a more difficult run after this, game against Wolves. So that's also that's what it is about. I think it was interesting how we kind of attacked the game, though. Like, normally
I do want to touch on that, because I only want to talk about how we attack this game, but going forward, because yes, Sterling didn't have a good game today, but our options are so limited. It's not that we have to rely on Sterling. We're going to have to rely on Sterling again this season, like, regardless. Even if Moreno starts again, there's going to come time where maybe the Moreno option doesn't work in the game. And I can see that coming. Maybe the Moreno option doesn't work in the game. Maybe Trossard is tired, and God forbid any more injuries to any of our wingers or to any of our forward line players. So God forbid anything like that. But we're going to have to see Raheem Sterling again. Didn't have his best game today. I don't think he won a single one-on-one duel in terms of offensively. I don't think he beat his man.
Steph, do we have to see him again, though, man? Like, I can't lie. Obviously, I agree with what you're saying, and obviously he probably will play. But I'm like, as I text you, Charles Sago Jr.
Yes. Youth players, and like I said,
Caviar, I can't lie. I would rather give them players if they're making mistakes and they're trying to take on man. At least I know in terms of the enthusiasm and in
yeah,
terms of the mistakes you can. With
I
him,
agree.
it's
I
like because you have to realize. I was gonna get sorry to interrupt you. We played different today. Like we were playing a bit more on the ground. We
yeah,
wasn't just playing, the long balls from Raya to find a flick on from Havertz. We were playing a lot more riskier passes into the middle, which obviously we have grown accustomed to and was what we've been asking for. But obviously, Mikel made a point talking about how he's going to adjust to the players that he has, which I liked what we were doing because there was no point of us trying to go long with shorter players up front. It makes no sense, innit? Sterling was receiving the ball in good positions, like
really good
dangerous
position,
positions, like even
really
more
good,
better positions that
really good.
Martinelli's
Yeah,
received
yeah,
in all season. And
yeah.
I'm just looking at him wasting it. I'm like, obviously, cool. The sub with Merino happened and we won the game. And maybe we're not going to really get onto Sterling so much. Who knows if he's going to start the next game against West Ham? I hope he doesn't. I'm not saying I'll start Merino, but like, it's obviously I don't want to slate a player, but it's like you're looking at the contrast on the both wings from a 17-year-old. Obviously, Sterling is 29 or however he is, but the just nothing, absolutely nothing. It's like Anyways, sorry for
Nah,
interrupting.
KP, I agree with you 100%. I thought the Sterling performance was absolutely
Atrocious.
it was a dreadful performance, and let's not mix matters on it. We could be nice, we could be positive, we could spin it however you want to spin it, but that was a dreadful performance. Not once did I see him dribble a man. Like it was a bad performance. We don't have to go into him and berate him. It was a poor performance. The only thing I'd say is yes, me and you did talk privately, and I did say personally, like I'd rather see a youth player come through, maybe with more hunger and enthusiasm, with the same. So I agree with every one of your sentiments, but at the same time, I still think if he will be named in the squad, and if his time will come, he has to step up. But ultimately, I don't think his way. I think today was the final nail in the coffin for his Arsenal career.
Yeah,
You see the confidence is shot. You can see his ability is not what it used to be. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't
I
trust
think
his
I
ability
think
the
for his
same
I
way.
think for his Premier League career, that's the nail in the coffin. Obviously, you
Yeah,
probably will play a lot of games, and I hope for our sake, innit, that he does have impact and he's able to have a couple of good games and score some goals. I'm not trying to like because he's gonna play, but
yeah.
what I
That's
saw
what I'm
today
saying.
was a player that like in dangerous opportunities and positions that we were in, like even just a player of adequate quality, we could have done a lot better and created a lot more openings. Like that they were starting to cover on Ranieri's side a bit more and double team,
Yeah.
and which like the Saka treatment, which means he was getting 1v1s. Like it's
He was definitely getting 1v1.
against a player that just came on in the second half, like after the starting right back, came off injured.
Yeah.
Like he was making the second guy look good, and I'm not trying to discredit him, but it was like, come on, man. Like, but I'm not trying to say on him because obviously we won the game, so I don't want to really, I just saying that
Yeah,
put the focus on Sterling.
that's what I'm saying. I do only touched on Sterling specifically because I do want to talk about how you go forward with this lineup. Because, like you did, you touched on a lot of youth players coming through. What would be your particular ideal or your particular thing going for? How we ended the game is how we start next game, is what you're saying?
I think no, because one, you want to have that plan B option. You don't want the
I
plan B to
agree with
become the
that.
plan A right
I agree
now.
with that.
Obviously, not even talk about injury and that. Just saying, they're saying if it doesn't work now, what is the second option you're going to turn to in that position? Obviously, if it's Sterling coming off the bench now, it's like what in anyways, cool. So it
I
becomes a
agree.
different question. Like, I think it's probably better to start the Sterling thing, especially playing a home game. West Ham are probably gonna be obviously a bit more low. I would if it was me, I would either say Butler, Deji, get a chance in the strike position and see what you got at least in the first half. If it doesn't work, then you can bring the Sterling or Marino, whatever, or a Caviar, out wide, or Sago Junior, whoever one of those two is performing better in training and see what they can do. Probably Mikel, because of the win, will probably start with the same team because he probably doesn't want to just put Sterling down after one game that
Yeah.
wasn't good, especially after the win, which is good managing. But like probably after this game, if he doesn't play well, if that's me against Nottingham Forest, I'll put in one of the younger boys because there's no point in, even though I feel like Mikel Merino did well, just when he's bringing out the ball and linking up and stuff, and I don't think it was necessarily bad. It's just I want that plan B option, so you
And,
have that
and
height.
like you talked about, if Sterling will be, I mean, like I said, he went up against James Justin for a little bit today, and I can't remember their right back, Koulibaly, I think the guy that came on for them, Koulibaly. But next week he's going to be going up against Wan-Bissaka. who is stronger and very known for his defensive prowess. Then after that, if
Yeah.
he goes up against Forest, he's going to go up against Olaina, who's been
Yeah,
absolutely
I
incredible
can't.
for
That's
for
why I
the
can't
side.
lie. If I'm Mikel, like I'll
Yeah,
just be bold and put in a Caviar or one of those
yeah,
guys that are a bit. I think Caviar and both Sago Junior are both good players. Fast and
yeah.
one. I'll just tell them just be confident, play a game, and see how that works. Because I obviously
You
I
don't
think
know what a
Trossard.
player has until he does it. You don't know what these players can do until they
You
do
know what
it.
I'm saying, and or he might be better off, which I don't like it. Probably playing Ranieri down the middle and giving him a more of a free roam position, and
Mhm.
probably putting Sterling out there. But I don't really want Sterling playing, man. I haven't seen he when he like okay. You see, I'm waffling. Like, it's just so difficult
No,
to
because
even try and find
I
any
know where
positive.
you're going. I know where you're going with it, KP. Because it's not only you're not people are we're not only going off of this game. And it's not only just us that are going to be saying this. And Arsenal fans, I find that yes, sometimes we can be harsh, but if you give us something, look today people today you see Mikel Merino get 2 goals. Before people were calling him a flop, not us. We were saying we give him time, embedded injuries and stuff like that for a season. If Moreno continues to kick on in this number 9 position, continues to score goals when we need him, what will he be labeled as at the back half of the season? We saw Havertz, same
Yeah,
thing
he'll
last
be
season,
he'll be clutch
continue to
still.
go into that
Yeah.
position. No, Arsenal fans, yes, are harsh, but if you give us something, we're going to back you. Sterling, unfortunately, hasn't given us
It's
anything,
just
whether that be
it's
on
just it's
field
just it's
or
just it's just simple stuff like just get
yeah,
the
simple,
ball,
yeah,
cut
literally.
in, put a quality ball in the box, get the ball, like get your first touch right, like just simple things like get the ball, try to take on your man, like it's like show some intent, like if there's
Yeah.
no point showing some intent, like then there's no point playing, man. So,
Um,
but moving
um,
on from Sterling, obviously,
that's what I was
because
gonna say.
I don't want us to obviously stay on him. Like, obviously, we're not in we don't. I think our next game is West Ham. I don't know when that game is. I
Yeah.
don't think it's midweek. I think it's next weekend.
Um,
So
pull it up
um,
for us right now.
which is good because I feel like these players need some rest in between games just to allow ourselves
Yeah.
to recoup from any knocks and just allow ourselves to stay focused and stay in the zone. Obviously, I like that we played before Liverpool
Yeah.
today, so we put the pressure on them. Obviously, one day
Next
for them to
game
think
is
about it.
West Ham next Saturday, and then we play midweek against Forest.
Okay,
So we
so
have a
cool.
week off, full week
Yeah,
off.
so full week off. Obviously, we'll see how uh we fare. Obviously, just another question. Obviously, I know we might wrap up soon. Like, would you
Mhm.
start Jorginho in that game? Against West Ham. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Jorginho played in the first game that we played when we
Yes,
played them
he
in the
did.
away game when we wiped them. And I
He did.
feel like not that Jorginho came on and did anything in particular shiny today. I don't necessarily think Partey had a bad game. I
Yeah.
should say I think like he had a lot of good moments. I think he has these lapses in concentration that I don't feel like, especially now where we're the chasers that we can afford to have, like where Jorginho, doesn't have those in it. And obviously, probably you're not argue passer for passer. Jorginho's probably a better passer.
Yeah.
Obviously, the game might pass him by because West Ham have a lot of players in there. Your Fergusons, your Paquetas, Kuduses and stuff. Partey has an ability to break up play. He did get a lot of fouls today, which I don't think he got a yellow card, which is what you kind of want to see. Breaking up play, but. What would you, or would you just kind of keep it the same? Because
I find this interesting because in watching the broadcast I was watching in America on NBC, right? They were talking at halftime, and I think Robbie Earl said, "Bring on maybe a Jorginho in the midfield because he has that ability to dictate the tempo and move the ball through the lanes quicker." Not saying Partey can't do it, but Jorginho is a more I would say like a better rhythm setter in terms of he made this point in saying if you pass the ball slow to a man, the man more likely that's receiving is probably going to take a slow touch, receive and pass the ball off slow. Sometimes you see Jorginho fire a ball in and then that will kick the move off. Same thing with like the fire. No, Partey does the same thing, but also too you still want to manage those minutes between these guys. Now I know we have a week off. I think Partey ultimately will be the starter against West Ham. I think he might, but like we said, we both love Jorginho. We both know what he can bring to this team. And off the bench again today, I thought he gave us quality when we needed it. So
yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he started. I wouldn't be upset if he started.
yeah. But I
But
don't
I
think he
think
will
Partey
start.
will start.
Yeah, I don't think he will start either. Just putting that little question out there. Just same thing with Calafiori. I like Calafiori's cameos that he's been showing every time he's playing as well. Obviously, despite he should be the starter, but we have two good positions players in that position there, and it's just I'm happy that we're able to get this win, especially out after the first week after the Havertz injury and Martinelli injury.
Yeah.
So just got to try to regroup, as you say. Hopefully, like if whoever does start, whether Sterling or Merino, they could continue the confidence. I don't see how you wouldn't start Merino when he gets 2 goals, but I just still wouldn't want that to be the option. But that's probably the conundrum that Mikel's probably going to play now because obviously
Yeah.
he scored 2 goals in there. I think maybe if he does start there, maybe we do change up how we do it. Like maybe in terms of like Merino can always drop in, and then Declan Rice runs, but beyond, and you can have.
I want to talk about that because Declan Rice, those runs off and then running behind reminds me a lot of what I see Jude Bellingham do for Real Madrid when
Yeah,
sometimes that where Mbappe might drop or Vinicius might drop out and cut off the ball. You have Jude running in behind or running in alongside the striker. Like I think Declan Rice again today worked his socks off, like I mentioned at the top. Ran the channels really, really well. Even at the end, if Declan Rice, I saw him have a chance. He laid off a few chances to Sterling at the end. At the end of the game, he had one for Tierney that he left for Tierney. He could have ran
yeah,
onto that as well. He had one. Like Declan Rice is gonna get a lot of goals if he continues to
yeah.
make
He's
those
a
runs. Right?
he's an
So
he's, he's an ama- he's an amazing player, man, and he's a leader, and he stepped up in throughout this whole like since this in general since like the Saka's gone down. He's been quality still, and today again, as you said, like the challenges that he's putting in, the runs that he was making, and just trying to make things happen. Like we just want it to continue. So I'm happy we got the 3 points. I hope
yeah.
that obviously there's no new injuries or anything like that coming in training or from this game. Fingers crossed. And like we'll see what Mikel does. Obviously, we'll probably talk about that later in the week. In the next game against West Ham on Saturday. But yeah, man, just gonna sit back and watch the Liverpool game and see
Hopefully we'll
if
talk about
Cunha
some points.
if Cunha can do something for us, because hey, I'll be gassed, man. But yeah, man, I'm happy. The early game, you get the 3 points, you get a good win.
Sit back for the
You
rest of the
see
weekend.
yours,
Yeah.
you see and obviously just before we go, obviously just Nwaneri, man. Like obviously difficult conversation. I was trying to tell you, like obviously when Saka comes back, obviously that's his position.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play Nwaneri. As you
Nah, you
said,
have to.
obviously we have different formulations. Obviously playing, uh, uh, obviously Rice at the 6 and Odegaard, and obviously for this season, and obviously that stuff. But obviously moving on to next season, if we do get a Zubimendi or get more midfielders, obviously yes, like it barks a question. But obviously ultimately you want to have many good options that
Yeah, of
can, you
course.
know, give you qualities. That guy is the truth, man. He could have had 2 or 3 goals today from his
Yeah.
chances. And
And don't forget bag the assist. That was
and
a real what a ball in. First
what a
of all,
ball. He has that
what a ball.
same pass that him, Saka has it, Lamine
Mhm.
Yamal has it.
Now has it.
That I'll probably say Cole Palmer. So that I love that right wing.
That left
Just
footed right wing cross, right curl right onto the. It's beautiful, beautiful,
fam, it's
man.
beautiful, man. But yeah, man, Steph,
But
I'm gassed. I'm
yes,
gassed, man.
man.
And
But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for your time, KP. Thank you for your breakdown. Thank you for your analysis. Arsenal pick up a 2-0 win at the King Power. And 4 points now is the gap. Liverpool have to play against Wolves, but nothing is a given in the Premier League as we've seen so far this season. Don't forget to like,
yeah,
comment, and subscribe to the channel. Give us a like if you like the content. Give us a subscribe if you like anything on Gunner Street or Cape Haspausa. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the love and support, and we'll catch you in the next one.
peace.
Yeah.